Welcome to Central News. I'm Wayne Douglas and I hope you're enjoying your Good Friday. A few weeks ago, Central News attended the Night Glow for Balloons over Waikato, and we're taking a look back to see what went on.
So Michelle, what an exciting week for you. How did it all begin 15 years ago?
The ballooning event had been around for a little while and then went through some tough times. So at that stage it was the Chamber of Commerce decided that they did not want Hamilton to lose it, so they formed a trust. And from then on the trust has been the governing body that's looked after the event, and it's just continued to evolve from there.
Wonderful. So what are some of the things that has helped it to grow over the years and the way that it's changed?
I think the Night Glow's evolved. It's become now a huge big event that is a 5-hour event, and we incorporate entertainment and bring the families down. And the fact that it's free, it's now one of New Zealand's last large-scale free events. And because of that, there's not a lot of entertainment you can get for free these days. The special shapes are also a big part of it. We invest heavily in bringing 3 to 4 different special shapes every year, and they're the stars of the show. So the crowd loves them, and I think we just try and keep the wow factor every year, and it continues to grow.
Yeah, definitely. So what can we expect for tonight's event?
Well, we've started. It's 4 o'clock, so we as part of the university's 50th birthday, we're celebrating the last 5 decades of music. So there's going to be music from the bands playing the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and 90s and today. So that'll be really great. And then of course there's an aerobatic display, and there's lots of food, rides, carnival, and then of course the glow show at 8 o'clock, followed by our biggest fireworks display to date.
Now Michelle, I know you've been extremely busy running around, so what is your role involved today?
Pulling it all together really, and throughout the year my role, because we're a not-for-profit, my role is about securing grants and sponsorship, because we're now a $900,000 event to run this event, so that is a big part of what I do. And then obviously the logistics around this 5-day event. We've basically got 2 events every single day for 5 days, and the Night Glow in itself stands out on its own.
Yeah. So it is amazing that the event is free. So how do you maintain that event staying free?
It's a mantra of our trust actually, that we always will be a free event. So we are fortunate to have sponsorship and grants because we're free and because we're such a community event. So we've got some fantastic strategic partners and sponsors on board.
Now I hear that you had the Balloons over Hobbiton event last weekend. So how did it go? Was it magical?
Oh, it was amazing, and the idea was born out of 2 fantastic Waikato iconic attractions becoming one, and it was just brilliant. And it was fantastic to work with the people at Hobbiton, and it was the first time that Hobbiton had actually been lit at night, so it was a really fantastic night, so something that we might like to talk to them about doing again.
And you mentioned it was a fundraiser. Who were you fundraising for and how much was raised?
$10,000 was raised, and through an auction and through the ticketing, and the major recipients is the Lions Cancer Lodge. We have a nominated charity as part of the event, and this year and next year it's Lions International, and it's the Lions BOP Cancer Lodge in Hamilton that get majority of that money.
Okay, now heading back to tonight's event. Now it's very centred around the weather, isn't it? So how's that been going?
We're totally weather dependent, and we have had a couple of challenging mornings, because the first day we had too much wind, even though it was fine, and the second morning we were challenged with fog, but though they did fly. Friday morning, but today's been beautiful. We had a magnificent flying this morning, and I think tomorrow's going to be great as well. So it is difficult with such a weather dependent event, but overall it's been great, and it's great weather for a Night Glow tonight too.
And how many people do you expect to attend tonight?
Well, with being such a beautiful day and a wonderful forecast, probably around that 70 to 80,000 that we normally get. I imagine we've already got a lot of people pouring in already.
Yeah. And what other entertainment is available for families?
Well, they can come down at 4 and make a picnic of it. There's food, lots and lots of different varieties of food, entertainment from teenage entertainment and carnivals through to little kids rides, lots and lots for them to do, and also it's probably a great opportunity to be able to wander through the university campus that a lot of people don't realise they can do, and which is part of our partnership with them, is to see how fantastic the campus is. And then of course come to about 7:45 is when the balloons start to get ready for the glow show at 8, and followed by a fireworks display, and then we do have a band finishing up for the last half hour, and the rides are open, and that just helps ease people out so there's not huge traffic jams at the end of the night.
And so have you started planning the event for next year?
Not yet, although always planning in a way, but and lots of ideas come through as you're running this event. But we sit down and have our planning day in June as a trust and as the event team, and dedicate a whole day to new ideas and what we're going to bring to the event next year. So looking forward to that.
So are you looking for potential sponsors?
Always. I always need, it's always about the fundraising. So there is lots and lots of opportunities, and we are a high profile event. We get a lot of media and a lot of branding opportunities. So we welcome anyone to give us a call.
Wonderful. Well, I'll let you get back to it because I know you're very busy, but thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you.
After the break, celebrating 150 years. Welcome back to Central News. The Night Glow is held at the University of Waikato, who saw the balloons as a great way to celebrate 150 years.
Well, we're delighted to be part of the balloons this year because this is our 50th anniversary. In 1964, the university was created on this very site when it was just fields and paddocks and a cowshed. There were no trees, there were no buildings at that time, and the university has obviously come a very long way to be probably what is the most attractive campus in New Zealand now for a university.
Yeah. Now, the theme of tonight's event is 5 decades of music. Is this relating to the university with their 5 years of existence?
Well, certainly during those 5 decades, the university has transformed itself. In the very early days and the first few years when we had only 19 graduates, and over those 5 decades that you refer to, we now have 90,000 graduates. And the number of subjects that we offer has changed over the years, obviously. And we've also had a tremendous loyalty from the staff. Many staff have stayed with the university right from the very beginning. And during this year, when we have anniversary celebration events, we've got graduates who come back and remember fondly the halls of residence from those very early days.
And are you celebrating any other way for the university's big 50th milestone?
Well, during this year we've got a whole range of events. For example, about a month ago we had a book which was celebrating the 50 years of the university. We had a celebration event for that when we had the former vice-chancellors and chancellors and former staff and students came back to celebrate that. Then about 2 weeks ago we had the Prime Minister on campus to unveil a plaque celebrating the 50th anniversary. And that plaque will be put on a time capsule where we will enclose a whole range of memorabilia from this year and over the years, and that will be opened in 50 years' time when we're celebrating our first century.
Yeah, what other benefits does this bring to the University of Waikato?
Well, we've been involved for quite a number of years, originally when it was in the lake, in the city centre, and I think it's now 5 or 6 years that it has been on our campus. And we're delighted to have it here because since the university was formed, it was very much a community university for the community. The university is now involved with field days, we're involved with the Arts Festival, we're involved with the Avanti Drome, and now of course the balloons also. Because we want the community to use this campus just as they would the Hamilton Gardens, for example. And we don't have any fences around the campus because we want people to come in and walk the dog or jog or do some running or whatever. And it's great to see thousands and thousands of people here tonight using the campus.
And what do you look forward to most about tonight's event?
Well, for me, it's seeing the young kids and the sparkle in their eyes when they see the balloons and all the fun rides and all those events. And it gets them comfortable being on a university campus. And we hope, of course, perhaps in 10 years, 15 years' time, that they will come to this university. So for me, that is the excitement for the evening.
And indeed a great milestone for our region's tertiary provider. Now more on balloons. Have you ever wondered how all those balloons stay up without crashing into each other? We spoke with the man who looks after the behind the scenes of the event.
I'm what they call the flight director or balloonmeister. I'm responsible for everything the balloon does, from when it takes off, flies through the air till it lands, controlling the airspace, making sure the flight's safe, the balloonists have a task that's challenging them and they enjoy it, and solving basically any problems that they have. So it's a huge tasking, if you like, to make the whole event work, because that's what it is. It's all about balloons flying.
Wow, sounds like a high pressure job.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. You get the same silly questions from people, but hey, we're here to solve the problems. And as I said, make it challenging so people want to come back. Make it spectacular for the people to see, so it encourages people to be part of the event and draw people to this marvellous place you've got here in the Waikato. So it's all about that.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you get into such a career?
Well, before flight directing, I'm a passionate balloonist. Ballooning is what I love to do. It's a magical sky experience. It's three-dimensional sailing, and from getting those skills and developing that into going into competitions, world championships, national championships, and then from there I've come to this Balloon Fiesta for about 20 years. So the logical thing was to challenge myself and go from flying the balloon to try and give the people competitions to achieve and running it, and I found that as a huge challenge.
And you mentioned that you are a pilot, so what qualifications did you need to gain for this career?
I'm actually a commercial pilot. I run my own balloon business in Methven in Christchurch and Mount Hutt, and so I've got a commercial pilot's license, got all those qualifications, but it comes from ballooning is experience. No one balloon ride is ever the same. We fly with the wind, and whatever the wind is doing is whatever the balloon's doing. So you have to get all those skill sets up and recognising the wind, recognising how you fly to land in those conditions.
Okay, so we can trust that everyone will be safe this evening. So you've also worked on a few events around the country?
I've done the Wairarapa Balloon Fiesta, which is a very small country event. It's very much by pilots for pilots, and I love doing that as well. It's just gets all the grassroots. We're nurturing our balloonists to come through. Most of our balloonists in New Zealand are families. You've got mum and dad or grandfather coming up with granddaughter and sons and daughters flying. So we have, it's self-perpetuating hopefully, and what we want to do is have a safe environment. We have one rule in ballooning: I'd rather be on the ground wishing I'm in the air than in the air wishing I'm on the ground. As long as you keep that going through your head, you have a safe environment.
Okay, so what can we look forward to for tonight's event?
Well, hopefully we'll have a spectacular night glow. We've got 4 special shapes here. We've got the hummingbird, we've got the angry bird, which is a fantastically glowing red balloon. We've got the rocket man, and the birthday cake, because of course we're celebrating 150 years here. So and then we've got all the other balloons in between, and we've got a thing that's quite unique to this area. We have what we call a basket burn, or the Americans call it a candle burn, where we've put actual baskets out amongst the public, and we have the burners going there, and they can experience the flame and the heat, and it should be quite a spectacular event.
Yeah.
After the break, we leave the balloons and visit the Hamilton Zoo. Welcome back to Central News. They are cute and fluffy and are very popular for visitors at the zoo. Anne-Marie talks meerkats with Louise van der Sand.
The meerkats were born on the 1st of February. Do we know if they're boys or girls yet?
Not yet, no. Hopefully soon, but we haven't investigated that yet.
Are they still extremely reliant on their mums?
They are. We're pretty confident they're not nursing anymore. They're reliant on their mother as well as their the group, the gang or the mob, basically to show them how to be a meerkat and to show them how to hunt. They need to, how to feed and that sort of thing. So very much still reliant on their mother and the mob.
Meerkats are very social, aren't they? Is the whole pack involved in looking after the babies?
Very much so, yep, from day one. Obviously the rest of our group are males, so they can't feed the young ones. But again, they're very, very involved in their education and their care, carrying them around, taking them back to mum when they need feeding and that sort of thing. So the whole way through, they've been very involved, the whole group. It's very natural for the meerkats.
What do they teach them?
They teach them basically how to feed, how to catch prey if they need to, basically just how to be meerkats, appropriate behaviour amongst the social group. And that sort of thing, all the essential behaviours that they'll need if they were in the wild, but also in a captive situation as well, in a social situation.
Now, meerkats are well known from the TV ads from a few years ago. When they're doing their quirky little head movements, it's actually an important job, isn't it?
Basically, in a mob or a gang of meerkats, there'll be one on patrol the whole time, patrolling for any birds of prey or predators or that sort of thing. So that quirky head movement, that's patrolling. That's looking for any threats and warning the group.
Will the baby meerkats stay at the zoo long term?
That comes down to the species coordinator. For most of our captive species, we have species coordinators for Australasian collection. These guys, it will depend on where the genetics are best placed as to whether they will stay with us or not. We're not sure on their gender yet, and that will also be a factor that's taken into account. So we just have to wait and see. If they're best placed here, then they will stay here, but otherwise they'll go elsewhere to breed.
Are they part of the zoo breeding program?
Yes, they are.
How have the baby meerkats adjusted to zoo life?
They've adjusted well. They start out in their dens. Basically, we didn't even know if they existed or not. We suspected they were in there, but we didn't want to disrupt them. Wanted to leave the mother in peace to raise them as she wanted to. They got bought out quite early. Within a few days old, we started seeing them be bought out by the adults. And ever since, they've been coming in and out more and more. They've become very confident. Obviously, it's the only life they know. So seeing people wandering around, having keepers in there, it doesn't affect them. It's just the way that they started off. So they don't see it as any different. So yeah, they seem quite happy, and they're becoming quite social, interactive members of the troop.
How have the baby meerkats adjusted to zoo life?
They've adjusted really well. Yeah, they spend the first few days at least in their dens where we don't interrupt them at all. So we didn't actually know whether they were actually there or not. We just suspected because of the adults' behaviour. But it is the only life they know. They have developed really well into really confident little characters individually.
They were born blind and semi-hairless, but meerkats mature very quickly, don't they?
They do. They do. Like being a wild mammal, obviously they need to get up and develop very, very quickly. Otherwise, it's a very vulnerable stage of life when they're really young. So they develop as quick as they can so that they can be up and moving and defend themselves if they have to.
Will the babies form part of the zoo's breeding program?
We don't know yet. It will depend on the species coordinator. They will let us know whether their genetics are best placed here to continue breeding, or whether they will go to another zoo, possibly here, maybe Australia, to form another gang or a mob somewhere else for breeding. It'll just be where their genetics are best placed, and that'll be analysed by the species coordinator.
Do we know if they're boys or girls yet? When are we going to find out?
Hopefully soon. We like to leave them to develop into confident individuals before we catch them up, so they need to kind of be a part of the mob before we catch them up and kind of prod them and assess that sort of thing. So it will be soon because they are becoming quite confident. Hopefully, we'll know, but not as of yet.
Meerkats have quite a mob mentality, don't they?
That's right, they do. The mob is it's a very social group, and it's basically safety in numbers. These guys are so small, they can get taken out by raptors, and that's a huge threat to them, a major predator. So they need to live in a mob kind of situation to protect one another. So there's always one on guard, as you can see here, and the rest of them can basically forage and relax while there's one on guard, and then they swap. So somebody's always watching out to protect their mob.
Why is the meerkat so special?
Because they're so cute. They're a great kind of advocate species for captive mammals. People love them. They love to come and see them, watch them. I guess their kind of social interactions and social behaviour is a really cool kind of thing to do with them as well. It's really interesting and really entertaining to watch, and it's just a bit special.
So if you have time this weekend, why not visit the new arrivals? And after the break, encounters with another furry creature. The ability to interact more with zoo animals has become a reality for the public. And over the last few years, Hamilton Zoo has made experiences available where you can get up close and personal. And we talk lemur encounters with Delwyn Crombie.
Delwyn, tell me about, first of all, these beautiful little ruffy lemurs that we've got here beside me.
Okay, we've got 4 rough lemurs in this enclosure. We've got Lucky, who's the dad of all 3 boys. And this guy here is Michaeli, and he's the first one we had to supplement feed him because Mum didn't have enough milk, and he became very friendly, so he was kind of the beginning of the encounters for us.
They're a bit jittery today, aren't they?
They are, and it's possibly because we're approaching like a breeding time for them. So there's Michaeli's the eldest of the boys, so he's a little bit more competitive with his dad, so lots of scent marking going on.
The ruffed lemurs are critically endangered, aren't they? Normally only found on the island of Madagascar.
All lemur species are unique to Madagascar. They don't originate anywhere else in the world, and so it's very sad that they're also critically endangered as well. These guys in particular, they are preyed upon by people as bushmeat and for their pelts, and deforestation is a big factor in their demise.
Now, you also have the beautiful ring-tailed lemurs who are currently sunning themselves over on the other side of the enclosure. They're also endangered.
They are. Again, it's part habitat loss and, just terrible things that are happening in the world today, and so their areas are getting smaller and smaller, and they like to roam quite a way as a troop, and so if you don't have the forest, that's hard for them.
Tell me about the animal encounters here at the zoo. Obviously, we're inside the enclosure. We've been hanging out with the ruffed lemurs and watching the ringtail. It's an amazing experience.
It is a lovely experience, and we're quite proud of this one because and we only work with the male ruffed lemurs because their behaviour, they're a little bit better than the females, and the ringtails are very social, so they quite enjoy people as well, and it's nice for people to be able to have an encounter where they can come in and sit amongst these animals, and it's kind of everything's on the animal's terms, but generally people get a nice encounter out of it.
10% of the encounter fee goes to the Hamilton Zoo Conservation Fund. Tell me about that.
It does. We're very proud of our conservation fund. We try and do something that's for native animals as well as exotics. And we've got the Kia Conservation Trust, so money is going into that for our Kia. And we've done 20th Century Tiger and also the Jane Goodall Foundation for chimps as more exotic animals.
Tell me about the ruffed lemurs. They have an interesting way of feeding.
They do feed sometimes upside down. You can imagine how a bat hangs. They can hang all their weight from their hind legs, which is incredible. And if you feed them, they'll eat like that. But mostly they will eat when they're sitting on something and up the right way. But it doesn't worry them how they feed.
Now, our little friends, the ringtail lemurs, they're pretty social little guys, but I understand they also like to engage in the odd stink fight. Tell me about that.
They do. The troops are around about, say, 20-odd individuals, and in the wild, because they're quite happy on the ground as well as in trees, but if they come across an opposing troop, it's one way of actually saying, this is my territory, and they rub their scent glands on their wrists up their tails, and they hang on to their tails and they kind of vibrate their tail to get the smell to the opposing troop. And that is one way of actually sorting it out without getting into a big fight, because they can inflict quite serious injuries if they start to fight.
And for more information on the Hamilton Zoo encounters, visit hamiltonzoo.co.nz. And that's Central News for tonight. Make sure you like us on Facebook and let us know if there's news or an event in your community that we can support. Thanks for having us at your place. I'm Wayne Douglas. Pumarie.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.